Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin Show. Today is April the 6th, 2019. Strong hand, unconfiscatable. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Personal responsibility is a new counterculture. Deferral of gratification, conviction, avoid mediocrity. Check out yesterday's This Week in Bitcoin show. It was great. Jeet and two surprise guests that you've never seen on the show before. So check it out. It was a fun time. And of course, check out all my old shows at disruptmeister.com. Follow me on Twitter at TechBalt. And now, of course, podcast form of every show is at sportsmeister.com. You can figure out how to download your favorite version of the podcast, the audio. You guys know about that. I don't. I just am making them available to audio people now. All right, let's jump into the new. Again, this show, we'll talk a little bit of Bitcoin, but this is, people like to hear my opinions on political subjects, cultural subjects, and just my lifestyle, health. And everyone knows I'm from Baltimore originally, and I'm going to be here for the next month before I go back to Los Angeles. And something that's going on in Baltimore is that, and I talked about this last week. I thought the mayor of Baltimore is embroiled in a horrible controversy. She came up with this book idea called Healthy Holly, and numerous organizations apparently bought the book from her, hoping to gain influence from her. Now she has only been the mayor since 2016. She was in politics beforehand, so this has been going on for a while. Most of the books were never delivered. So they contributed to some business that sort of existed, and that's not cool. That's not ethical. And at first it just appeared to be one organization, but it goes a lot deeper. So I thought she was going to be able to survive this thing because Baltimore's really corrupt. Well, apparently, she still thinks she can survive this thing, guys. You know, most people of conscience, most people with some ethics, they would resign. She's taking a leave of absence. She's saying she's not feeling well. So the city council president, Jack Young, who some of you may remember, I got in an argument with him in Artscape at 2011 on the streets of Baltimore. We got into a verbal argument. I mean, it was about another issue. Anyway, and that's not the solution to things. Don't get in verbal arguments. So I think Jack Young probably knows who I am. Mayor Pugh probably might know who I am, but that doesn't, who cares who I am? I'm not even in Baltimore anymore. I did the smart thing. They're in Baltimore still. So we're the got to deal with this. So Jack Young is going to become acting mayor. The city council people are actually saying she should resign. So this is pretty big because everybody, you might not know Baltimore, but everyone in politics is a Democrat. So they're turning on their own. And so this is a big thing. Still, she hasn't resigned. So I linked to it below. That's what's going on in Baltimore. That's why you don't want to be involved in politics. It is dirty. It is corrupt. Even someone like Mayor Catherine Pugh, who doesn't seem as dirty as the rest, is worse than how she thought she could get away with this. And it just reminds you, if she thought she could get away with this, then what's everybody else in politics thinking they can get away with in Baltimore? It makes you happy. That's why you don't plant yourself in one place. That's why when I was planted in Baltimore with my house, I had to pay high taxes. I would get fined for all these little things, for violations on my house. I get fined for violations on my house. They're taking bribes from everybody and everyone, and then they don't even resign. So I could complain about it all day and stay in Baltimore, or I could travel around the world like I do, not own a house in Baltimore. I position myself financially where I can just laugh at all these fools, and I don't have to get in arguments with Jack Young on the streets of Baltimore anymore at Artscape like I did in 2011. Anyway, so yeah, that's what you got to do. You can't get obsessed with politics. And if you do, you go down the drain with them. You don't want to. It's a dirty thing, and it's fun to be an outside observer of it and kind of laugh at the whole thing and know that, yeah, I did the right thing. Getting the heck out. Again, if you're in a corrupt place, there's a price. There's a price to pay living in a corrupt place when you own an asset like real estate, at least. Okay, they're going to tax you. They're going to fine you. They're going to get your piece, because if you're a real estate owner, you're considered wealthy in these holes, in these cities where this kind of stuff goes on. They don't care about you. They want the masses to vote for them. So, they raise money through bribes, and then they, who knows how they, and then all the people with nothing keep voting for these people, and they end up with nothing. They still have nothing. And then the people with something, we slowly get our something taken away unless we take ourselves away. And then we get to enjoy our something, and we get more and more of something. And I got into Bitcoin, and whew, if you're from Baltimore, I can only advise, ditch that real estate, get into Bitcoin. How about that? And then you don't have to worry about what Mayor Pugh and Healthy Holly books, what's going on, and what Jack Young is doing. Jack Young is your mayor, sort of, kind of. Moving on, pound that like button. What do we got here? This is about Philly. Some of you might, this tweet here that I'm going to quote, it's all linked to below. I talked about a couple weeks ago how Philadelphia is proposing making stores won't be able to ban cash. They must accept cash. And this tweet sums up my opinion on the whole situation. Banning cash is a bad idea. Preventing stores from refusing to accept cash is a bad idea too. It is. Now, banning cash, that would be what a government would try to ban cash, like India has tried to do. I don't agree with that. No, that's not good. That's not. But again, if you're in Bitcoin, you don't have to worry about such things. But at the same time, the government saying to stores, no, you must accept cash, that's forced. Why should a store be forced to accept cash? Why? They're accepting legal tender through the credit card, through other means. And if they don't, competitors will pop up that will accept cash. And if accepting cash is such a good thing, then they'll do very well. So I don't think I agree with this tweet totally, that the government shouldn't be stepping into this mess at all. And the government shouldn't be banning cash at the same time. Cash should always be available. Cash should be out there. I don't know why a store wouldn't want to take cash. I mean, there's certain reasons. They don't want a certain clientele. They want a very high-end clientele. That's their business. If they want to be a high-end store and where they only are going to accept American Express, then that's their prerogative. The government shouldn't say you can't do that. Government gets its hands in too many things. Again, but if you're in a Bitcoin overlay, you don't have to worry about this stuff. If you don't like the government, like I didn't like the government of Baltimore, you just leave. You go somewhere else where it's friendly. And I'll tell you, I wasn't going to talk about this, but this just reminded me. There are all these people talking about banning the Electoral College, which is just a short-term thinker's prerogative, basically. United States is not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. Okay. So no, not every vote counts in the same way. If it was a democracy for when you voted for president, okay, then all the presidential candidates would just campaign in the urban centers where they could get the most votes, in Los Angeles, in New York, in Chicago, and they would control the country. It's 50 separate states. Okay. It's 50 separate. So Wyoming is going to get its say. South Central Los Angeles, all of Chicago, they do not have more power than Wyoming. Wyoming has more power than them. That's the way it's set up that way, 50 separate states. So what you can do, if you care so much about who's elected president and the way that the president is determined, if you care so much, then move to Wyoming. Then your vote will count more, okay? But no, they're never going to do that. They're never going to do that at all. Now, there's some entities who try to fill states with people, with immigrants, basically, sending certain people to Minnesota and Maine and et cetera, where, what the heck? These people, what are they doing in Maine and Minnesota? Now, that is a way around this. And that's why you have to, if you care much about the how America is set up, if you care about the constitutional republic setup, and maybe you don't, then yeah, you do need a real immigration program. I mean, that's got rules, like where you can't funnel in a bunch of illegals and then send them into Maine or Minnesota and then, change the demographics. It's just so you can alter some votes. That's not what this is about. Again, and I would be for open borders if there was no welfare state. But there is. I mean, that's not the world we're living in. There's a huge social welfare state here, and that's why people want to come here. That is why people want to. Now, if there was no social welfare state, then people would want to come to the United States to work hard, and it's a land of opportunity, like in the old days. That's why all the immigrants came around 1900 and 1910 and all that. There was no welfare state. But again, let's take it as it is. There's a huge welfare state. So we can't live in the world of open borders. We can't live in that world because if the country is to be sustainable. All right. So I didn't even mean to talk about that stuff today. Again, if you're worried about this kind of stuff, get yourself in a position where if things turn into socialism, full-fledged socialism in the United States, you could just take your Trésor and just go live in Australia or wherever, anywhere you choose. I mean, or just don't have a home. Just go from place to place like I do. It's possible. It is possible. You just got to prep. You just got to prepare yourself and be a long-term thinker and think about some of these issues. All right. I just received a super chat. Let's see. $1 from Dane Kinchin. He said a lot of things. And he didn't say anything, but I see he's tweeting. He's putting a lot of other things in there. 3%er. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Dane. You very, very much for your. I don't know if you wanted me to say anything or not because you didn't say anything there. Moving on. So we talked about Healthy Holly. We talked about banning cash. Andrew Yang. Okay, so Andrew Yang is running for president. He is a Democrat. He's a UBI guy, Universal Basic Income, and he answers on his website. He answers like every question. He deals with every single issue imaginable. Now, I don't like UBI. I think if UBI replaced every single welfare program, that would be okay. That would be okay because it would be a lot cheaper to administer. Now, that's not what he's proposing. I believe he wants there to be a value-added tax to fund that, and that's no good. Another tax? Come on now. But I give this dude a lot of credit. He is appearing on the Ben Shapiro show tomorrow. I linked to it below. So you can watch it starting on Sunday, and I give him all the credit in the world. He's good. This will help boost his campaign. This will boost his campaign. Now, at the same time, I'm kind of curious. If a Democrat is going to win, I'd like to see him. I'd like to see what he would do. I don't think the world would end if he got some of the. Well, first of all, if he did UBI correctly, like I said, that would be very interesting to see what happens. The 80%ers wouldn't work. The 20%ers would work. Would the country fall apart right away? It's interesting. I would of course be ready to leave, and because I value my wealth in Bitcoin, I could easily leave. So I think the guy is sincere. At least he isn't a corrupt politician like Catherine Pugh, and he's not a fake. Like everybody out there, even that mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg or whatever his name is. What a last name, especially for who he is. I don't see how it got. Well, anyway, Pete Butter or whatever is Butter Chugga Choo Choo Butter. He has just a terrible last name. Okay, if you're running for office, you got to be marketing savvy, but okay, I guess he's proud of his heritage and everything. What was I going to say about Pete Buttigieg? Oh yeah, but even he's fake. He's talking to an African-American audience of some sort. He starts talking like Ebonics and stuff. I mean, all the candidates are doing this. I mean, when Hillary did it, it was like so blatantly obvious. But I mean, they're all doing it. They speak in this Ebonics tone when they're speaking, and the audience likes it. They appreciate it. I can't believe it. It's humiliating. It's really humiliating when these white people speak and AOC or whatever, they start speaking Ebonics in front of a black crowd just to rile them up, and they think it's going to get them. And I guess it does get them votes. Black people, I mean, you should laugh in these people's faces if they talk down to you in that manner. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Pete Buttigieg. Ben Shapiro played a quote of his, and Ben did not point it out that Pete Buttigieg was speaking in Ebonics, but he was. I know Ebonics well. I'm from Baltimore. Come on now. Now, and he was speaking in that tone. And again, it's disgraceful that it's even called Ebonics, that it's been legitimized, that this is an acceptable way of talking. It's not. It's a ghetto. It's a ghetto talking style. People should aim higher than that to not talk in that style. I don't think it's. Everyone can talk in a respectable manner if they so choose, and when you already talk in a normal with a normal accent and you start speaking that way to talk to a black audience, it's bad. But Andrew Yang does not do that. I give him on. Pound that like button. I didn't even mean to talk about the Ebonics thing. So, and the cool thing about being in the Bitcoin overlay, I bet most of you couldn't even speak like this, like I am now, talk about Ebonics. You would be scared you'd lose your job. Or so, I can say anything I want to. I mean, like Jack Young, he talks a horrible Ebonics. I mean, it's bad. He's got a bad accent. It's bad. It's bad. I mean, look him up on YouTube. I mean, I guess that's just the way he learned in East Baltimore. I don't know. Catherine Pugh, she spoke pretty well. She speaks pretty well. All right. But I mean, when you hear Elizabeth Warren speaking Ebonics to black people, it's just like, oh my God. It's just like, oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. And even Barack Obama, when he would speak to a black guy, he would start speaking Ebonics and stuff. Oh God, it's how can it be acceptable? If as a Jewish person, if someone started like speaking to me, if I was at a synagogue and then all of a sudden some like politician came in and started speaking like and just like talking like some ghetto Jew, I'd be like, oh my God, this is get the heck out of here. Get the heck, why are you degrading me like this? Start speaking some like some Yiddish stuff. I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about onions. Let's talk about onions. I really like onions. I like eat onions as like a hand fruit. I think I've mentioned this before. I just want to mention it again. When I am eating my meat, I got to eat like a whole onion. I got to eat a whole onion. Oh, they're so good. They're good for you too, man. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys are able to pull that off or not. I don't know if you guys are able to pull it off. But I do love onions. And as many of you know, I do like garlic also. But look, if you can't get into the garlic, get into the onions. It just adds this, adds such a nice flavor. I'm thinking about it right now. And by the way, I'm starting a 44-hour fast. Because I gotta go tomorrow. I'm going on a little road trip. But I'll leave early in the morning after synagogue, and I'll be back at night, and then I'll do the show. But I will be out of Baltimore for most of tomorrow. For those of you who care. But that's why I just won't be able to eat tomorrow at all. So I won't eat again until Monday. Yeah, I did. Again, when I flew in, of course, I did a 40. I mean, I'm going to skip 30 days this year. I think that's my goal, is to skip a month of eating. With my, again, as most of you know, I fast 22 hours at least every single day. But then there's certain times when I just skip a whole, it's a 44-hour fast. And then very occasionally, like I just had an 80-hour fast. Check out the archives. I talked about it on another Beyond Bitcoin show. So speaking of 80s, I mean, let's talk about 80%er culture, okay? 80%. And again, these politicians appeal to 80%er culture because they want the voters. So many of the voting population, of course, are 80%ers. They're just like to make decisions on emotion and what's fitting in. Now, there's this guy named Nipsey Hussle. I'm on ESPN.com trying to see what the score of the Oriole game is, okay? That's why I go to ESPN.com. To just check the Oriole score. I don't read the other stuff. And I see some dude named Nipsey Hussle has been killed or died. And I've never heard of this guy before. And then I see it like on, I don't know if I saw it on Fox News or CNN or I don't know where. But I saw it somewhere else. Like, Nipsey, who is this Nipsey Hussle guy? I've never heard of it. Well, why is it a big deal? He was killed. What's going on? I don't know. I don't know. And here it says on the ESPN link to their The Undefeated, which is actually a site that targets black people, which is fine. It's like black sports or something like that. Black sports figures it talks about. But Nipsey Hussle's not a sports guy. Nipsey Hussle loved the culture, and basketball was his favorite. Tragically, the artist went from courtside to being inked on players' shoes in remembrance. So what is this? Glorifying this type of stuff. I'm so happy I did not know who he was, because it's this nonsense. Why waste your time on someone like this? I mean, this is what 80% of culture. Like, I'm going to go watch the basketball game, and I sell merchandise. I create fashion. I rap. It's so mindless. It's so mindless. It's such a way. But yet, many people knew who he was. But when he died, his name was all over the place. Oh, so this is what 80% of culture is. This is culture. This is, you could, hey, it's personal responsibility is the new counterculture. If you want this to be your culture, Nipsey, guys getting shot in South Central to be your culture, that's your choice. That's your choice. It's not very productive. It's not very productive. I mean, it ends in death. I mean, when you take it to an extreme, it ends in death. And to care about what the Kardashians are doing or what the latest, I don't know who these people. I don't know what makes up 80% of culture. Okay, I'm so proud of that fact that I am immersed in productive culture, into Bitcoin culture. Okay, and you have the choice to do that. Now I said. And now my videos, I don't target any specific audience at all. I mean, I'm giving out information. So obviously those who enjoy information, anyone, black, white, Asian, I don't care. Again, I'm talking about, there's a sports site. It caters to black people. White people can read it. I read it when I was trying to figure out who this Nipsey guy was. But right here, this is the cool thing about Bitcoin. It does not discriminate. It does not try to discriminate. It does not try to target. And I'm proud that I know who the Winklevoss brothers are, and I didn't know who Nipsey Hussle is. And I think being in the mindset of knowing who the Winklevoss brothers are, you're going to be a lot more productive in life. You really are. You should try to aim to be them instead of aim to be somebody like that who gets shot in South Central Los Angeles. Okay, the Winklevoss brothers aren't going to get they don't sit. They don't get shot in South Central Los Angeles. I mean, they put themselves on a path toward riches, and you should aim to be them. Aim to be them. And there's so many more people hate on the Winklevi than probably, but again, than hate on Nipsey or whatever. Or maybe I don't know. But I mean, like, the Winklevi are like the ultimate like enemies now of the woke crowd, right? You know, these hulking, very good looking, wealthy white guys. I mean, these are productive, smart men. Anyone, woman, man, black, white, they should aim to be these people and say, well, what do these guys do right? What they do right, they got into Bitcoin. They might own 1% of all the Bitcoin ever to be made. This is awesome stuff. Again, Bitcoin does not discriminate. That's my culture, baby. Mine's the new counterculture, baby, is personal responsibility. I'm in the Bitcoin culture, which is all about, being your own bank, personal responsibility. So yeah, that's my commentary on Nipsey Hussle. And yeah, hopefully I'll never hear about him again. As I had never heard of this person before. Never. And there's so many others that I've never heard of before, but of course I can't mention them because I don't know their names. So if you know all these people's names who I don't know the names of, I would advise you learn about Bitcoin more, and don't waste your money on tennis shoes and sitting courtside at an NBA game or whatever. I mean, you can get those things once you like save money and are productive and stuff. Like, don't go into the whole 80% of culture is about getting into debt, so you can know who all these dudes are, so you can follow Nipsey Hussle and the Kardashians and who else. All right, and again, that's why I love being in LA, because I'm not a part of it. When I'm in LA, I just observe all that stuff. I'm so happy that I'm not part of it. I'm not wasting my money on all that nonsense. I'm living the true counterculture when I'm there. The personal responsibility Bitcoin counterculture. All right. So we got a video out from Yaron Brook. Why does everyone hate Israel? It's called. Oh, it's a good one. You guys should definitely watch it. It's linked to below. Some people see success and just think it's a horrible thing, and that one must have done something wrong to get that success. Just like with the Winklevi brothers, they say it's a horrible thing. They're successful. It's horrible that Israel's success. They must be oppressors. They must have done something wrong, and there's victims, and we must support. It's the victim. If you're doing well, you must be hated. You must be an oppressor, and we must support the opposite side. And success is evil. Success is evil in the 80%er world, in the woke world. I don't even like that word at all. But yeah, they go into that on why. But see, I mean, Israel is a success. I mean, it's a success. So the United States is hated also. It's a success, and people just it's a sickness in this world today. Just to, if there's success, something must be wrong. Something must be wrong with that. They must be doing something wrong. Let's pick on them. Let's find every fault with them and try to vilify them. Yeah, again, that's a waste of your time. If you want to do that, you can do that. You're not stopping Israel. You're not stopping the United States. You're not stopping the Winklevi brothers. Okay, you can hate on them all you want and create scenarios where, and you're just wasting your time. You should try to emulate. You should try to emulate successes. So again, scapegoating is instead of building yourself, you tear down other people. You out of envy. So I mean we live in this society of so much scapegoating. People spend so much time tearing down other people to make themselves feel better out of envy, when they should be just building themselves up. Build yourself up, because if you tear down someone, you're not going to become better. You think you're going to bring them down to your level. That's disgusting, and you won't be able to either, because true successes will not be able to be brought down from your hate. Okay. And again, you're much more productive by building yourself. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry. Don't have envy. Don't worry about income inequality. You build yourself up. You will raise your income. You'll just be a happier person. And I've talked about this scapegoating before on so many different levels. It is definitely a disease that it's spreading. It's spreading. People cannot take personal responsibility. People can't build themselves up anymore. All right, and we were talking about UBI, and yeah, UBI is not going to. Most of the people that accept UBI, they're not going to be able to build themselves up either. No, they won't. It's not a solution, but I think it's better than the current welfare state. If it just replaces the current welfare state, okay. If it again, the overhead costs would go down incredibly if you just cut everybody $1,000. If everybody is on welfare now, you just simplified and just gave everybody $1,000 check every month or whatever it is. That's all it is. You don't need to see what they qualify for, what type of welfare they are. Just all the people who don't want to work, just you get money, go away. Just stop bothering us. I mean, maybe it would calm some people down. It would decrease their jealousy and envy. I think it might calm some people down for a bit at least. Whatever. I just can't imagine being one of those people where you just like, I don't want to be productive. I'm a hater. Just give me a check. That's so not me, man. I don't know. I mean, you got to strive for greatness. I don't know. People have different. Everyone's entitled to their own prerogative, I guess. But again, personal responsibility is a new counterculture. If you want the government to take care of you, dude, you're gonna have to deal with the consequences, and it's not too good. And here's something from Zehut. Is this from Zehut? Oh my God, if this isn't from Zehut. No, this isn't from, I think Zehut retweeted this actually. Zehut was on the show again on Friday. Check that out. I think they will call this period of history the social war. It's not a conventional fight between geographical factions in the physical world. Instead, it's a global ideological war fought on social media every day, with Twitter as both newspaper of record and public war zone. Well, I do agree that is going on. There definitely is a social war. You don't have to participate in it. It's a total waste of your freaking time. Okay? So what he described, it is going on. People are spending hours upon hours on Twitter, arguing about various silly things, and that they're not going to be able to change. They're just not going to. Now, some people have found ways to profit off of it, and they've made themselves into big characters in the space, in the social war space. Big influencers, and they've been able to monetize that. Few people are going to be able to do that. It's a waste of time. It's unproductive. It isn't. People arguing on Twitter. It's not going to change very much at all. You got to change yourself. You're not going to be able to change other people. You really aren't. It's especially on Twitter. I mean, it's very impersonal. It's not face to face. People just read your thing and then just move on. Think yourself. Be productive. Always think that. Think about it, like, dude, I spent 5 hours today on Twitter arguing. What could have I been doing? You could have been doing a lot. You could have been buying Bitcoin. All right. Moving on. This show is taken. All right. There's something I found out about. I forgot on. It was on Isaac Arthur show or one of the space shows I watch. Event Horizon, maybe. Senolytics. And I linked to a Senolytics link below. Senolytics target cellular senescene, a process in which damaged cells, rather than dying, persist and become toxic to cells around them. All right. Cellular senescene has been shown to drive multiple age-related diseases. So, okay, Senolytics are medicines or maybe even foods that destroy the cells that cause cancer and really bad things. And this is a relatively new field, Senolytics. So remember the name. I think it will become big. I hope it becomes big. These medications or whatever they're going to come up with will target the mechanisms, the cells that create age-related diseases. And if they were to be able to get rid of those, I mean, people would live a lot longer. We would have a whole new lifestyle. This is cutting-edge type of stuff. And so I never heard that term before. And there it is. Now, going back to, and look it up. It's linked to below. You learn something new every day. That'll be a big thing in the future. I don't think I'm even pronounced Senolytics. 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 Zehut. I talked about the Zehut party. I've been talking about it for a few months now in Israel. And it's like a libertarian party. But it's kind of a religious party too. It combines a lot, and they have a pot legalization is something that they're talking about a lot. Well, it looks like they're going to make the Israeli Knesset. And they also have people that have talked about Bitcoin. They're number 3 guy. So I mentioned that on one of my Bitcoin shows. So this could be big. Israel is a very Western state, and if they were to get some people that might start talking Bitcoin on there, and maybe change the Bitcoin scene to be even more friendly in Israel, that would be great. At the same time, on a political level, these guys are not conformist. Moshe Feiglin is the guy in charge there. This dude stands for something. This dude, again, I don't like most politicians at all. They're horrible. I've talked about so many that are terrible. But this guy is more like Andrew Yang in the sense that he's a real person, from what I can tell. So the Wall Street Journal has an article, the potential kingmaker in Israel, an ultra-nationalist who wants to legalize pot. And so they're describing Moshe Feiglin. And they call him an ultra-nationalist. And again, that's just to poison the well. He's not a liberal. He wouldn't be a Democrat in the United States. Let's put it that way. So the Wall Street Journal, I guess, isn't. I mean, this guy is a proud Israeli. This guy knows that Samaria. He lives in Samaria, which is great, which is awesome. And he doesn't play games by calling Samaria and Judea other names. But the funny thing is, they call him a name. They call him an ultra-nationalist. Do they call AOC an ultra-socialist? I mean, what's an ultra-nationalist? The guy is an Israeli. He believes in Israel. I mean, there's a lot of dudes that, I mean, are they all ultra-nationalists? Again, so I mean, what's an ultra-socialist? I would think AOC would be an ultra-socialist, or Bernie Sanders. Isn't he an ultra? He's playing with words. But I mean, it does work. The media, they know what they're doing if they want to influence an article. Check out Zehut for yourself. Again, if you're in Israel, I hope you're voting for them. I guess it's on Tuesday is the election, I think. And I am not big into politics at all in any country, but in Israel, it matters a little bit. It's a very small country, and so guys like that can make a difference, and could help out they have a lot of there's a lot of socialism in Israel. It's a socialist country, basically. It's basically a socialist country. So this could help them out. They have very high taxes. And a guy, if he were to gain some power and then maybe one day become prime minister, oh my God, it would be great. Yeah, then they'd become a Bitcoin friendly state by that country by that time. That'd be awesome. All right, tried to tie it in the Bitcoin there. So finally, one last thing. This is a tweet from Arrington. It's about Zuckerberg. Hang on before I read that. All right. I forgot to say this shirt. Oh my God, did I mention the shirt? I love this shirt. It's from All Good Labs, and they're linked to below. I like the color of the shirt, and it is a Bitcoin shirt. It says, "Do your own research." So it's a Bitcoin shirt. This is their way of. It's a Bitcoin shirt. Trust me, that's what they do. Check them out below, because I only wear Bitcoin shirts on the show, or a tie occasionally. It's a really nice color. I love this. It's like an aqua green, blue. I don't know. I'm not an artiste. I'm an artiste of Bitcoin, not an artiste of traditional artiste of colors and painting. You should see my handwriting. What's this say? Like that's my handwriting. All right. It's an abomination, my physics teacher said back in high school. All right. So Zuckerberg finally calling for tighter internet regulations. When a large company calls for regulation, what they are really requesting are regulatory costs that serve as barriers to entry, protecting them from upstart competitors. It means nothing else ever. Now, Ben Shapiro actually talked about this too. Zuckerberg saying, yeah, regulate us, regulate us. Yeah, he wants the government to regulate them because there'll be no other competitors in the future. No one will be able to join, become to get in and become a competitor of Facebook. It's it's hard. Tighter internet regulations gets rid of all sorts of competition. So no, we don't need it. They want it eliminates competition when they're calling for when wealthy companies want the government to interfere. It's interfering on their side, and that is not capitalism. When you get the government to do favors for you at all, that's fascism. I mean, it's terrible. When the government picks favorites, that is fascism. And he is of course he would want regulate us, sure, regulate. They're not going to regulate him out of existence. They're going to regulate the future competition out of ever existing. So that's why he's a fan of that. And that is not part of capitalism. Over regulation, the government interfering. When the government interferes, it picks winners. It picks winners, and he's a very smart guy, and he knows if they regulate him and his industry, he's going to be the winner, and he'll have an unfair advantage. That's what happens with the government. When the government steps in, they tilt the scale towards someone. All right, that's enough. I'm Adam Meister, and so yeah, don't worry about that stuff. Get into the Bitcoin overlay, where if your country ever goes in that direction, you can just leave. If you're ever unhappy with your city, with your situation, you just pick up and leave with your Bitcoin. That's your asset. That's your asset you can take anywhere with you. Getting tied down with a house, it's a risk, man. It is a risk. Or getting involved in some company, owning a company that can be regulated out of existence, it's a risk. It could be taxed out of existence in a jurisdiction. It's a risk. The Bitcoin, you can run with that thing, baby. All right, I'm Adam Meister, Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Check out the link section below. Pound that like button, bang that bell button. Again, it's a new show every day here. I'll be back Sunday night. It will be late. See ya. Bye.